Rhett Calder was a mechanical engineer by trade, a software genius by birth, and a speed freak by obsession. His garage, nestled on the outskirts of Reno, Nevada, was more laboratory than workshop. Oscilloscopes beside tire racks, engine blocks sharing shelf space with circuit boards. And at its heart, a gleaming black 1963 split-window Corvette Stingray that hadn't seen daylight in nearly a year. This wasn't a restoration. It was a reinvention. Under its flawless vintage exterior lurked a hand-built twin-turbo V8 power plant, controlled by a proprietary AI he named Lynx.
Engine temperature nominal. Oil pressure holding at 78 psi. Shall I initiate cognitive conditioning? I have a new round of aerospace trivia loaded.
Rhett buckled into the Stingray's custom carbon fiber seat.
Let's keep it light, Lynx. Save the trivia for after 150 miles per hour.
He was headed to the Silver State Classic Challenge, a 90-mile open road race down State Route 318. But today wasn't race day. This was a shakedown run, the final test of man and machine. As the Corvette screamed down the long stretches of open Nevada desert, Rhett pushed past 180 miles per hour with ease. Lynx auto-adjusted boost levels, monitored every ping and flutter, even tuned the active suspension in real time.
Everything's running smooth. This car's going to make history.
Then it appeared. A shimmering, vertical band of pale blue light hovered silently across the roadway, 10 feet high, twisting slightly, like heat haze caught in a windless storm.
Lynx, you seeing this?
Confirmed visual anomaly detected. Not consistent with atmospheric mirage, laser diffraction, or electromagnetic interference.
Rhett's foot lifted off the throttle, but too late. He was already within 100 yards. Then 50. The light engulfed him, crackling with unnatural energy.
Hold on.
In a split second, the Corvette vanished. Asterisk Chapter 2. Welcome to 1963. The sky was the same sharp blue. The desert, still barren. But everything else had changed. Rhett pulled off his racing helmet and looked around, dazed. Power lines poles were wooden. The cars on the nearby highway looked wrong. Tail fins, chrome bumpers, not a single satellite dish or modern antenna in sight.
Lynx, give me a location and time check.
I'm not sure how to say this. Based on the absence of satellite triangulation, local broadcast signatures, and calendar data, it's Friday, September 13th, 1963. Nevada.
Wait, are you saying we time traveled?
Unless we've entered the world's most elaborate historical reenactment, yes.
The Corvette idled perfectly. The world, however, was anything but. Now, Rhett had to blend in, figure out why he'd been sent back and how, or if he could return. But with Lynx's advanced capabilities and his own mechanical and coding genius, Rhett saw more than just survival. He saw a dangerous opportunity to change the past or race toward a future he may never reclaim. Chapter 3, Echoes in the Desert. They say if you stand still long enough in the Nevada desert, the wind starts to talk. But what I heard out there, it wasn't the wind. It was the past whispering and the future bleeding through the cracks. It started with a blip. Lynx came online just after midnight. Her voice was lower than usual, almost hesitant.
Rhett, I'm picking up encrypted signals. Frequency band is unfamiliar. This is not standard Cold War-era military comms.
She was right. The pattern was off. Too precise. Too advanced. I ran it through her diagnostic engine. Compared it to Soviet intercepts, ham radio bursts, even early NASA test loops. Nothing matched. Then Lynx said something I wasn't ready for.
Signal structure resembles short-range quantum modulation. Closest match, experimental tech filed at Groom Lake.
Groom Lake, better known today as Area 51. I didn't believe in little green men. Still don't. But I do believe in government secrets. Especially when they involve science no one was supposed to have in 1963. So I did some digging, old newspapers, rumors, interviews with crusty locals at the backs of dusty bars. Every story led to the same place. Something big was happening in the Nevada test site grid. Not nukes, not aircraft, something else. A local rancher swore he saw a sphere of light the size of a house, hover over the desert and vanish. Another guy claimed his cousin disappeared near the dry lake bed and came back speaking fluent German after flunking it in high school. These weren't hoaxes. These were patterns. I snuck back out to the Corvette, still hidden beneath that mine shack, and turned her on just long enough to power up Lynx's long-range scanner. We aimed it toward Groom Lake. Narrow beam, frequency sweep. Passive, non-invasive.
Energy signature. Weak, but familiar. Same harmonic resonance as the light that brought us here.
That's when it clicked. We didn't just stumble into a time warp. We were pulled. Someone, maybe human, maybe not, was playing with tech they didn't understand. And somehow, I was caught in the crossfire. Back in town, Claire could tell something was off. She cornered me outside the hardware store.
You've got secrets.
I'm just trying to survive.
No, Rhett. You're hiding.
I wanted to tell her everything, but I couldn't. Not yet. Still, I slipped. Ever heard of Groom Lake?
Only that it's where the government hides the monsters.
Yeah, I think one of them let me through. I thought I had control over my life, my machine, my mind. But now I was staring at something bigger than all three. A mystery buried under classified sand dunes. A machine humming in a desert no one was supposed to enter. And a creeping fear that I was never supposed to go back home. What if this wasn't an accident? What if someone, or something, sent me here? And what if the question isn't how to get back, but why I'm here at all?
Asterisk Chapter 4.
You ever bet on a game when you already know the outcome? It's a hell of a feeling. Like playing chess with someone whose moves you've already memorized. That's how I survived the first month. It started simple, $20 on the Yankees to take the World Series. Then $100 on the Colts to upset the Rams. Then a little more here and there, until I turned my last modern dollar into a few thousand 1963 ones. I kept it low-key, cash only, off-strip. Backroom sportsbooks and poker parlors run by men in sharkskin suits who didn't ask questions, as long as you didn't win too often. By week 4, I had enough to open a bank account under an alias. Russell Kane, the name of a kid I sat next to in 5th grade. The kind of kid who would have stayed out of trouble. But I wasn't just stacking bills to stay fed. I had a bigger plan. If I was stuck here, really stuck, I wasn't going to spend the next 30 years just waiting for the internet to be invented. I was going to build a foundation. That's when I found a small law office in Carson City. Old firm. No questions asked. They handled ranch trusts, land transfers, old money stuff. I walked in with a few grand and an idea. A living trust, structured to grow over decades. Silent, private, protected by ironclad clauses. Beneficiaries. My brother, still in the future, and a child not yet born me. A younger version of me who might need help one day. The instructions were simple. If someone walked in with my full name and matching thumbprint, 50 years later, they'd get access. It wasn't just money I was leaving behind. It was a lifeline. But as I watched this world unfold, I realized something else. History was about to break in 1,000 places. Civil rights clashes, assassinations, war, oil crises, tech booms and crashes. And 9/11? That was decades away, but it was already a shadow on the timeline. I couldn't just sit on the sidelines. So I made a choice. I'd play the long game. Quietly, carefully, a whisper behind the curtain. I started submitting technical white papers under fake names through defense contractors and universities. Nothing too advanced, just enough to push things along.
Design proposal accepted. Signal range extended. Drone stabilization algorithms adopted by Lockheed subgroup.
Advise, nudge, warn, and all the while I watched the clock. Because sooner or later, whoever or whatever sent me here was going to want something back.
Chapter 5. The Ledger and the Lie.
Caliente was the kind of town where secrets didn't stay secret long. I was renting a room above the general store, keeping to myself, and still managed to become a topic of local gossip within a week. Claire Monroe didn't help. She kept checking in, dropping off newspapers I didn't ask for, inviting me to diner breakfasts I couldn't keep dodging. She was curious, sharp, the kind of woman who asked questions in layers and read you like a headline.
You always land on your feet?
Just trying not to fall flat. She smiled, but her eyes stayed locked on me. I didn't trust easily, but I needed someone on the inside. Someone who knew the rhythms of 1963. And Claire? She had a reporter's instinct and a librarian's memory. She also had something I didn't expect, a connection to the Lincoln County Recorder's office.
Let me guess, she said, watching me glance at the courthouse notice board one afternoon. You need property records. Or you're planning to buy half the desert.
Just curious about land transfers. History fascinates me.
You want in? I've got an in.
Turns out her cousin managed the local ledgers. And Claire, being Claire, could walk into the archive room like she owned it. That's how I found it. A single sheet, dated March 1962. U.S. Government Lease Transfer, Parcel 4B, 21. Groom Lake. Purpose, Research and Development. No agency listed. No project name. Just a red stamp. Top secret. Why is there no agency on this?
That's the thing. I've seen leases for Nellis, for Tonopah, for all kinds of DoD projects. They all have signatures. This one, it's a ghost.
A ghost lease, for the most. Secret place in America. And buried in the margin was a scribbled note, half erased but visible under angled light. Phase 2 begins September 1963. Full spectrum inversion test. Claire saw it too.
What the hell is full spectrum inversion?
I didn't answer. I couldn't, because that was the month I showed up. And suddenly, this wasn't just a coincidence anymore. That night, I drove out to the ridge west of Groom Lake. I didn't take the Corvette. Not yet. I borrowed a beat-up International Harvester and parked under cover of night. With a pair of vintage binoculars and links running silent on a gutted transistor rig, I watched. There were no lights on the base. No spotters. Just a tension in the air, like something was holding its breath.
Then, at 3:11 a.m. it happened. The air shimmered. A pulse, blue and faint but real, rippled across the horizon. Silent. Quick. Gone.
Confirmed inversion pulse. Matched to our transit event within 0.02% error margin.
My heart sank. This wasn't just a natural anomaly. It was manufactured, reproducible. Someone had turned time into an experiment. And I was the lab rat. Back in town, Claire stopped me in the alley behind the print shop.
Whatever you're doing, Rhett, it's bigger than a fake name and a fast car.
What if I told you I wasn't supposed to be here?
Then I'd say figure out why you are.
I met him in a bar with no name. It was carved into the side of a ridge, 10 miles east of Caliente, with a wood sign so faded it just read beer and leaned at a slant like even gravity had stopped caring. The bartender didn't speak. He just poured. Cash only. Locals only. And me. The man who sat next to me smelled like leather, diesel, and old paper. Gray beard. Eyes like engine coolant, sharp, cold, and always scanning.
You're the one asking about Groom Lake.
Depends who's asking.
Name's Wyatt. Used to work up that way, back when they still called it Watertown.
He slid a matchbook across the bar. Hand drawn on the inside was a crude map, power lines, rail tracks, access roads. One circled site labeled Observation Ridge. Another, Sublevel Echo.
Place ain't what it looks like. What is it about?
They're poking holes in the world.
I didn't laugh. I didn't scoff. Because I'd driven through one. Later that night, I followed Wyatt's map. Observation Ridge was real. So was the silence that came with it. Thicker than any silence had a right to be. I set up a low-profile dish relay links had helped me retrofit from 60s ham radio parts and my own hardware stash. At 2:07 a.m., we got another hit. Same frequency band. Same burst modulation. This one stronger.
Rhett, these readings suggest the pulse is interacting with localized gravity wells. This isn't just temporal displacement. It's dimensional.
Are you saying parallel worlds?
No. I'm saying someone's trying to punch through them.
Back in town, I stopped at Claire's office. She had a stack of microfilm waiting for me.
You always land on your feet?
She laid out a reel. Security contractor reports. 1957 through 62. Most of them blacked out. But not this one. Subject, Dr. Elliot L. Rossner. Affiliation, U.S. Aerospace Advanced Research Division usered. Status, transferred to Groom Lake. Project, Echo.
Echo.
Echo may be a designation match for sublevel Echo.
You knew you'd find this, didn't you?
I didn't know what I'd find, but I knew it would be waiting. That night, I dreamed of the shimmer again. But this time, it wasn't blue. It was red. And there was someone on the other side of it, watching me. I didn't sleep after that. Not because of the dream, though that stuck with me like jet fuel in my lungs, but because I couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something had looked back through the shimmer. I wasn't alone on that road, and I might not be alone here.
Link stayed quiet the next morning. She was still running diagnostics from the second pulse. Her voice was flat, filtered, like she was thinking too hard.
I walked through town trying to look normal, bought a newspaper, picked up a coil of fence wire I didn't need, nodded at the same people on the same.
You're spooked.
I'm fine.
You look like a man being hunted.
I didn't answer because I wasn't sure I wasn't. I drove out to the mine shack that night. The Corvette was still there, tarped, asleep, waiting like a coiled spring. I powered up Lynx in low visibility mode. Talk to me.
Third pulse recorded at 0400 hours. Stronger. Source origin appears
Shifting how?
moving south. Directional drift suggests mobile platform.
You're saying it's following us.
I'm saying it's tracking us. And it's learning.
I took the tarp off the Stingray. Dust blew past my boots as I stared at the black-on-black finish and polished chrome. I think it's time we move.
I concur.
The Corvette came alive with a growl. Twin turbos whispered under the hood. Lynx synced telemetry to my earpiece. We backed out onto the old trail road, leaving behind the only shelter I had. I didn't know where I was headed, but I knew one thing. If something from the future, or worse, from outside of time, was chasing me, I wasn't going to wait for it to catch up. We hit the state line at sunrise. I stopped on a bluff overlooking the desert. Miles of nothing ahead. A long ribbon of road stretching toward the horizon. Orange sky behind it, painted in layers of fire and ash.
Rhett, are we running?
No, we're bait. We didn't stop for 12 hours. No music, no chatter, just the hum of tires over asphalt and Lynx occasionally muttering numbers into my ear. Atmospheric readings, thermal drift, radiation bursts. The pulses were getting more frequent and closer. We'd clocked 6 directional anomalies since leaving Caliente, every one of them stronger than the last. Every one trailing just behind us, like echoes trying to catch up. Then, around dusk, we hit dead air. No radio, no telemetry, no links. Lynx status check. Nothing, not even static. I pulled off at a gas station outside Tonopah, an old Sinclair station where the sign still had the green dinosaur. I popped the dash panel. The fiber line to her CPU core was dead, fried from the inside out. Melted shielding. Smell of burnt silicone.
This wasn't heat. It was sabotage.
I checked the shielding on the satellite dish unit stashed in the rear cargo panel. Same damage. EMP-style wipe. Localized. Controlled. Someone had hit us with a focus burst, and they knew exactly where to aim.
Payphones in the corner.
The old man behind the counter didn't say much. Sold me a pack of Camels and pointed toward the phone booth. It still worked. I dialed a contact number I had embedded in Lynx's memory. A relay line I set up with a defense lab in Arizona months ago under a fake name. But when the call connected, I heard something I didn't expect.
We've been expecting your signal, Mr. Calder.
Click. Deadline. I stood there for a long time, listening to the wind bang against the glass door, watching the horizon flicker with orange lightning that didn't belong to any storm. Someone knew my name, not just Rhett Calder, and they were watching my moves before I even made them. Back at the car, I rig an auxiliary boot to Lynx's backup core. No network, no AI personality, just diagnostics and power routing. She came online with a low flicker, nothing more than a whisper. I uploaded a stripped-down map package and disabled all remote trace signals. For now, we were flying blind, but we weren't deaf. One last pulse hit just before midnight. This one different, not directed at us, directed past us, like we were no longer the target.
Rhett, something else just entered the grid.
I found him at sunrise. Or maybe he found me. I'd parked the Corvette off a fire road near Mount Jefferson. high enough to see for miles, low enough to hide from air surveillance. I was halfway through rewiring Lynx's uplink relay when I heard the crunch of boots behind me. No warning, no approach, just a voice.
You've made quite the ripple, Calder.
I turned slowly.
He looked maybe 50. Crew cut, clean boots. Wore a jacket with no insignia, but moved like someone who had orders buried in his blood. His eyes were wrong. Too calm, too aware.
Who are you?
A messenger.
From who?
Let's just say a mutual acquaintance.
He stepped closer. Not threatening, just deliberate. His gaze drifted to Corvette, then back to me.
Nice machine. Shame about the targeting burst. We had to see how you'd respond without her.
You knocked Lynx offline. You son of a bitch.
Only temporarily. We needed to confirm you were who we thought you were, and that she was what we thought she was.
He looked into the distance, toward the mountains, or maybe beyond them.
There's a war coming, Mr. Calder, and it doesn't care about timelines or treaties, just outcomes.
I stood silent. Every instinct told me to run, but something deeper said, listen. What do you want?
Not me.
He handed me a folded paper. Coordinates. A time. No name. No map. Just numbers and a date.
October 11th, 1963. 0300 hours. He turned to leave.
Wait. Who exactly are they?
The ones who sent the first pulse.
And just like that, he was gone. Lynx came back online 30 minutes later. Faint, struggling, but functional.
Who was that?
As if she watched everything through a crack in a blindfold.
I didn't answer right away. Just stared at the paper. Finally, I whispered. A door opener. That night, I climbed to the top of the ridge and laid flat under the stars. The desert was cold, clear, quiet, but I could feel it, the air vibrating with something unspoken, like the world knew it was being watched. The stars above hadn't changed, but something behind them had. Something that saw me, something waiting for me. I closed my eyes, and for the first time since I arrived in 1963, I felt like a thread being pulled. Not backward, forward. I spent the next 5 days preparing like a man going to war. The Corvette got a full teardown. Every wire checked, every sensor recalibrated, every relay buried in redundancy. Lynx was restored to 87% capacity, but I didn't push her. I needed her sharp for October 11th.
The coordinates on the paper pointed to an abandoned rail tunnel near the Nevada test site, a place no one talked about. Not in 1963. Not now.
I went in knowing one thing. This wasn't a meeting. It was a test. We rolled out at 100 hours. Desert winds slapped the windshield as the Stingray tore down the forgotten highway. No traffic, no lights, just silence and stars.
Approach vector stabilized. ETA, 7 minutes.
I checked my reflection in the rearview mirror. Same face, same scars, but I didn't recognize the man staring back. I wasn't who I used to be. We reached the tunnel entrance at 2:56 a.m. Old steel doors stood half open, rusted but intact. No guards, no lights, just a narrow trail of red dust that led inside. Backup systems to passive.
Confirmed. External signature minimized.
I grabbed a flare and walked into the dark. Inside, the air changed. It wasn't just stale, it was charged, like the walls themselves were holding a breath. 50 feet in, I found platform. Concrete slab, half-buried cables, a shape the size of a car under a tarp. As I stepped closer, the air shimmered. Not visually, not like the pulse. This shimmer was internal, a shift in the feeling of gravity, like reality was leaning sideways. And then, without sound, a door appeared. Not a hatch, not metal, a door of light, white at the edges, pulsing faint red at the center.
Rhett, this is not terrestrial.
No kidding. Lynx. I stepped forward. The flare dimmed the closer I got, like the light was being eaten. Then the voice returned.
You've come farther than expected.
Who are you?
We are what you called down the first time you crossed the threshold.
You created the pulses?
No, but we followed them.
The flare fizzled out.
You don't belong in this time, Rhett Calder. But you might be the only one who can prevent what's coming.
The light flared red, deep, slow, steady. A heartbeat.
Step through, and everything changes.
I looked down at my hands. Dirt under the nails. grease and lines, the work of a builder. And then I stepped forward.
Into the red. There was no sensation, no heat, no cold, no sound. Just light, red and endless, folding on itself like a Mobius strip made of memory.
And then it ended. I blinked. The world didn't reappear. It assembled. Sky first, then earth, then horizon, and finally, the noise.
Not natural, not ambient, synthetic, a deep, low-frequency hum, like a machine breathing in reverse.
I was standing in the desert. Same coordinates. Different world. The sky was gray, not blue. The air tasted like static. And behind me, the tunnel was gone.
In its place stood a smooth structure, black stone, seamless, windowless, 50 feet high, humming like it was alive.
I turned slowly, heart pounding. In the distance, towers, not skyscrapers. Antennae, hundreds of them. Metallic stalks rising from the desert floor in perfect geometric patterns. It wasn't 1963 anymore. It wasn't my future either. It was something between.
Signal weak processing, environment mismatch, quantum anchor unstable.
Where are we?
Temporal vector unknown. This is a fabricated pocket.
A simulation?
Negative. Real matter. Real physics. But designed. Like a testing chamber.
A test.
I heard footsteps. Not boots. Not shoes. Barefoot. Slow. Deliberate. I turned and saw him. Not the messenger. Not the military. It was me.
Same jawline, same eyes, but older, hardened, scar across the left brow. He wore a dark jacket, no logos, no marks, and his face was calm in the same way a storm is calm just before it touches down.
I wondered if it would be you. What the hell is this? The future. Or one version of it. The version where you make the wrong call. What do you mean? He stepped closer. I scanning mine. You think you're trying to get home. You think this is about repairing time. It's not. It's about choosing which branch survives. Branch. He pointed skyward, and I saw it. The air above shimmered like broken glass. Cracks in the atmosphere, pulsing with red light. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Each one a window. Each one showing a different world. Some burning. Some blackened. Some full of light. Each pulse opens a fracture. Each fracture is a choice. I never asked for this. None of us did. He handed me a device. Smooth. Cold. Size of a Zippo lighter. Set this on your car. Sync links. It'll anchor your signal. To where? To the world that still has a chance.
He turned to leave. No dramatic exit. No vanishing act. Just one sentence over his shoulder.
Don't trust the ones who say they built the light. I stood there for a long time, holding the anchor in my palm. The horizon pulsing with fracture lines overhead. Let's go home.
Which one?
We crossed back just after midnight. No pulse this time. No tunnel. Just a silent slip between layers of reality. Like threading a needle made of lightning. The Corvette landed hard on the desert floor. Shocks groaning. Tires kicking up dust from a road that hadn't been paved yet.
Anchor lock confirmed. Dimensional drift suppressed.
We were back. But back where was the question? The stars looked right. The air smelled like 1963. But everything felt tilted. Not physically, existentially. Like the world was half a second out of sync with itself.
Rhett, there are temporal inconsistencies. Minor at first glance, but definite.
Show me.
Gas was 28 cents a gallon. That checked out. But Eisenhower was still president. And the Beatles never formed.
This isn't my past.
No, but it's someone's.
I pulled into Caliente under cover of night. The town looked the same, but the signs were different. The names, the faces on posters. The diner still stood, but now it was called the Union Grill, not the Lincoln Diner.
And Claire Monroe? Nowhere. No record at the town paper. No mention in the archives. She'd been erased. Or maybe she never existed here.
I parked behind a general store, pulled the anchor device from the glove box, and set it on the hood. Links, how stable is this timeline?
Stability index, 72%. Degradation predicted within 14 days.
Can we hold position?
We can, but not indefinitely.
I looked up at the stars, trying to find a constellation I could still trust. There were none. That night, I wired a secure beacon into a pre-digital relay tower. Broadcast loop every 6 hours. No coordinates, just a tone pattern, a signal, a breadcrumb. If anyone else was drifting like I was, I wanted them to know, I'm here, I remember, and I'm still fighting. I don't know if I'll ever get back to my original timeline, but I'm starting to think that's not the point. The pulses, the fractures, the visitors, they're not accidents. They're invitations, warnings. Maybe I'm not supposed to go back. Maybe I'm supposed to keep jumping, keep anchoring, keep fighting for the ones that can still be saved. Links, load the map. Pick the next vector.
Ready when you are.
I dropped the car into gear, the horizon open wide, and we drove into it.
Somewhere in a vault beneath a mountain that doesn't appear on any map, a red light blinked for the first time in 60 years. One technician noticed, then another. Then the room went silent. On the monitor, a name.
Calder, Rhett, signal reacquired.
A general stepped forward.
He hadn't aged in decades. Not really. Not where it counted.
He studied the waveform, adjusted his tie, said nothing for a full minute. Then he nodded.
Activate Phase 3.
Half a world away, in a room built before the Cold War and buried deeper than NORAD, a girl no older than 10 sat alone in front of an old radio. The signal buzzed again. A tone, a sequence. She smiled.
Found you.
And in a timeline not yet written, a younger version of Rhett Calder sat in a garage outside Reno, tinkering with an old carburetor, unaware that a trust fund in his name had just matured. Inside the envelope was a letter, handwritten, signed, Rhett. At the bottom, a line.
When the sky flickers red, don't run. Bill.
Because the future isn't something you arrive at. It's something you chase, one red shimmer at a time.